Good morning, Year 5. Welcome back to hopefully our final week of remote learning in maths. Here is your Fluent in 5 for today. Please give yourselves 5 minutes and then unpause for your answers. Here are today's answers. Now, for this week, the ones I'm going to concentrate on going through with you are the division ones. So we have a little bit of division practice. If you got that one right and you do not need me to go through it, you can whiz through that part of the video. But I'm going to go through D for those of you who may need a little bit more support with division. Right, let's have a look then. So, first of all then, 3 is our divisor, 7,613 is our quotient. So division, if you remember, is the one that works the other way around to all of the other calculations in that we start this end, so we start this end of the number rather than this end, okay? So we start with 7,000s. Okay, we've got 7,000s and we need to share them into 3 separate groups. Now, I know that 7 isn't in the 3 times table, but 6 is. Now, what I have suggested before in classes is that you write out, if you really know your 3 times table, you don't need to do this. But some of you might find it useful to have your 3 times table written out for you. So you've got it to refer to, okay? So 7 doesn't appear. 6 does. I can't go to 9 because I haven't got 9, I've only got 7. So I have to go to 6. So I can share 6 of those 3,000s out, and that will be 2 in each group because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, that's my thousands done. I've still got 1,000 left because I have 7,000s. I've used 6,000s. I've got 1,000 left, but I'm going to regroup that into hundreds. So I'm going to bring down my 600s. I've now got 1,600s because 1,000 is 10 hundreds. So I've got 1,600s altogether. Right, looking at my 3 times table, 16 isn't a multiple of 3. 15 is. I can't go to 18. I haven't got 18. It has to be 15. So I'll take 15 and I'll put that into 3 equal groups. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And if you didn't know that, you could have checked here that it's 5. Okay. We had 16. We shared out 15, which means we've got 100 left. When we drop it down, what we're doing is we're regrouping, aren't we? We're regrouping that 100 for 10 10s. I've got 1 10 left here, so I need to bring that down as well. So I've now got 11 10s. Let's look back at my 3 times table. I can share 9 of those into 3 equal groups. So I'm sharing 9 of them out. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, and I've got 2 10s left. I'm going to regroup those to become 21s. With these 3 ones, I'm going to put them all together. So I've got 23 ones. I can share 21 of them into 3 equal groups. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. And I'll have 2 left. So here's my answer, 2,537. I've got 2 left. Now, if we go back to the Fluent in 5, it's given us a couple of options here. We can either say the answer is 2,537 remainder 2, or we can say it's 2,537 and 2 out of 3 left, or 2/3. We could also continue and do it as a decimal. I'm going to leave that for this week because we'll cover that when we talk about dividing decimals in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, so that gives us the answer, 2,537 remainder 2, or 2/3. Okay, so today's learning then, we are moving on to subtracting decimals. The good news is it works in exactly the same way as subtracting whole numbers, just making sure that we understand our place value as we go. So here's an example for us to look at. A bottle contains 0.5 litres of water. Peter drinks 0.3 litres of water from it. How much water is left in the bottle? So we've got a little visual here. So if you need to remember, you can use counters and a place value grid, or you can draw a place value grid. Anything that's going to help your understanding of place value, I will thoroughly encourage. Of course, if you just want to go on to the abstract, as long as you can understand and talk that through, that's fine. Okay, so we start by drawing 0.5. I'm going to do it here. I know there's a picture for you, but I'm going to show you what it would look like here. So I've got 0.5, so 0 ones and 5 tenths. And I want to take away 0.3. Okay, so all the time making sure we're lining up our ones and our tenths, and of course the decimal point needs to stay aligned as well. And then it works in exactly the same way as a normal subtraction. So we start as far right as we can go. We start with the tenths. We've got 5 tenths, take away 3 tenths is 2 tenths. Decimal point stays where it is. 0 ones, take away 0 ones, 0 ones, giving us 0.2. Okay, just to show you what that looks like in lots of different ways. We've got a pictorial, we've got the abstract, and we've got a written sentence there. 5 tenths, take away 3 tenths is 2 tenths. Okay, hopefully that was quite straightforward. Let's move on. Okay, a few to try then. What I'd like you to do for number 2 only to start with, just to make sure you're on the right track, is pause your screen, go through to work out the answers to those 6 calculations, and then unpause so you can check your answers against mine. Right, there are my answers then. So there was no regrouping to be done there. It was just straightforward subtracting. So hopefully your answers matched mine there. This one, same thing. I'd like you to pause and have a go at 3. Now this time the numbers are not written in this way, so that job is for you to do. Please make sure you do it though, and make sure that you are lining up your tens and ones, and of course your decimal point as well. Okay, here are those answers for you. Now the only one that was a little bit different was B, because B had gave you the number 4. So of course you needed to make sure that you put your 4 in the ones column, and we know that we can put 4.0 just to make it look the same. You don't have to, you could have just put a 4 there, but if you put a 4 in the tenths column, you'd have got the wrong answer. So hopefully you've got those right. Okay, so now we're moving on to if we have to do some regrouping then. So this is exactly the same as we've done before, just with decimals instead of whole number integers. Right, okay, so let's have a look. We've got to subtract 0.7 from 1.5. So I've built my 1.5, and now I need to take away 7 tenths. I can't do that to start with, I haven't got enough. So what I need to do is regroup this 1 into 10 tenths. So 1, 1 becomes 10 tenths. 1, 1 and 5 tenths becomes 15 tenths, okay? Then we can take away 7 tenths quite easily, leaving us with 8 tenths. This is what the abstract looks like. So same thing here, making sure you line up. We started with 5 tenths, take away 7 tenths. We couldn't do that, so we regrouped, leaving 0 whole ones and making 15 tenths. Then we did 15 tenths, take away 7 tenths is 8 tenths. 0 take away 0 is 0, giving you 0.8. Let's have a go at some of those then. So here are your calculations. First of all, just making sure, this number 5 is just making sure you know how to regroup. So have a go at 5 first, please, just number 5, and then we'll come back together and talk about that quickly before we move on to the next one. So pause, have a go at number 5, and then we will talk through it. Okay, so 1 whole 1 is how many tenths? Well, we know if we had a pizza and we cut it into 10 equal parts, if we wanted to eat the whole pizza, we'd have to eat 10 of those parts. So 1 is 10 tenths. 2.5, you've got 2 whole ones and 5 tenths. 1 whole 1 would be 10 tenths, 2 whole ones is 20 tenths, and then those 5 gives us 25 tenths. Let's have a look at C. 6 is 5 ones and how many tenths? Well, if I've got 5 whole ones, I've got another whole 1 that needs to be turned into tenths. We know that's 10 tenths. Let's have a look at D. 1.6, 1 whole 1 is 10 tenths. Add those 6 tenths gives us 16 tenths. 8.7, 7 ones. So if we take the 7 ones, we'll have 1 1 left, which is 10 tenths, add those 7 is 17 tenths. And 2.4, if we take 1 whole 1, we've still got another whole 1, which is 10 tenths, add 4, giving us 14 tenths. Okay, let's have a look at the next one then. Could you pause your screen and have a go at 6, A, B and C, and then unpause for the answers. Okay, there are your answers then, and you can see where I've done my regrouping as well. Last of all then, number 7, could you have a go at these, making sure you line up your digits correctly, just be really careful, and then unpause to see me go through the answers. There are your answers then from C. So check your answers against mine. If your answer doesn't match, have a look at mine, see if you can work out where you've gone wrong. This is looking at what happens if our numbers don't have the same amount of decimal places. So we've got a whole number here, 2, and we're subtracting 0.8. Now remember, all you need to do in this situation is try to make your numbers look the same. If you go back a few weeks to when we compared decimals, we said if we're dealing with numbers with 1 decimal place, it's easier to compare them if they all have 1 decimal place. So all you need to do is make it look like that. So 2 can become 2.0, 7 would become 7.0, and so on. Let's do the first one together. So 9a is 6 take away 3.6. So I'm going to make 6 become 6.0 because that will look the same then as 3.6. Then I'm going to take away 3.6 underneath. And then I'm just going to do exactly what we were doing on the previous page. I'm going to do 0 tenths take away 6 tenths. I can't do that, I haven't got any. So I'm going to regroup a whole 1, leaving me 5 whole 1s and 10 tenths. 10 tenths take away 6 tenths is 4 tenths. And 5 1s take away 3 1s is 2 1s. So 6 take away 3.6 is 2.4. Okay, over to you. Could you have a go at B, C and D for me? And then unpause to check your answers against mine. There are your answers for 9, B, C and D then. I'm just going to go through D again for you, just so I can talk you through what I did. So first of all, I made the numbers have the same amount of decimal places. Then I lined them up. And then I tried to start with 0 tenths take away 2 tenths. I can't do that. So I regrouped that 1 whole 1, leaving no whole 1s behind, into 10 tenths. I did 10 tenths take away 2 tenths, giving me 8 tenths. Then I had 0 1s take away 3 1s. Well, I haven't got enough there, so I had to regroup this 10, leaving me no 10s, but 10 1s. And 10 1s take away 3 1s is 7. Right, okay, hopefully you can see that this is the same as when we take away with whole numbers. It's all about understanding your place value. So over to you today then. What I'd like you to do, you've got practice 3, the first half of practice 3 today. So the first one is writing the subtraction as sentences. So thinking about how you would say the calculation, not actually how you would necessarily write it down. All of these will help if you do the abstract alongside the written method. Then this is really important, particularly for those of you who really feel like you've got a good understanding of this. You do need to be able to commentate your work, telling me what you're doing at every step of the way. So this is your script, and you need to work through the calculation, filling in what you would say if you were explaining it to somebody else. And then number 3 and 4 are some subtractions for you. 3 is set out for you. 4 you need to set out yourself. If you whiz through those and you still have time in your lesson today, there's a little added challenge for you, which is a missing number activity. Now, if you've taken the lesson or you feel like you've got as far as you can with this today, you don't have to do this, but if you know what you're doing, then it's a good little extra challenge for you. So we've met these pyramids before. Each box is the sum of the 2 boxes underneath it. So for this one, 14 has got 8.1, add what makes 14. So obviously you're going to use your subtraction there to do 14 take away 8.1 and then work backwards. When you get to H, there's a little bit of an added challenge for you. So have a good go at that, but don't worry if you can't find the answer. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow with your answers.